Lisa, a night shift nurse at a hospital in a small town, had heard the rumors about the haunted ward. Staff members had spoken of strange occurrences, lights flickering, mysterious noises, and even the feeling of being watched. Lisa, however, was a skeptic and dismissed them as nothing more than overactive imaginations. That was until one night when she was alone in the emergency room, finishing up paperwork at the front desk. Around 3 a.m., the phone rang. She answered, expecting it to be another call from the night shift doctor, but there was only heavy breathing on the other end. Confused, she repeated the hospital's information line, but the breathing continued, becoming more frantic. She thought it was a prank call, but as she hung up and the phone rang again, she could feel a chill run down her spine. This time, the voice that answered wasn't human. It was distorted, garbled, and faint. It whispered, "Help me." Lisa was frozen, the voice familiar but distant. It was a voice she had heard months earlier from a patient who had died in that very room after a tragic accident. Horrified, she turned to the window, which had a clear view of the hallway, and saw the shadow of a figure standing at the far end. She immediately ran to check, but there was no one there. The phone went dead. That was the last time Lisa ever worked the night shift in that hospital again. Paul, a security guard at a large industrial factory, worked the graveyard shift alone. The factory, which had been built in the 1940s, was known for its eerie atmosphere, especially after hours. One night, while conducting his usual rounds, Paul noticed something strange. The usually quiet factory floor was echoing with the sound of footsteps, despite the fact that he was the only one there. As he checked the security cameras, he could see no movement. The sound of the footsteps grew louder, and Paul's nerves began to fray. He followed the noise to a dark corner of the factory, where old machinery lay abandoned. As he approached, he saw a figure standing by a machine, looking out of place. The figure was dressed in old, workman clothes, with a gruff face that appeared disfigured by time. Paul called out to the figure, but it didn't respond. He cautiously approached, but the figure disappeared into the air like smoke, leaving behind only a cold, damp chill in the air. Terrified, Paul bolted to the office, locking the doors behind him. The next morning, when Paul recounted the experience to his co-workers, they told him about the factory's tragic history. A worker had died in an accident decades ago, and rumors swirled about his restless spirit wandering the factory floor at night. Mark was the night shift manager at an old, run-down motel on the outskirts of town. The motel had seen better days, and the business was slow, but Mark had gotten used to the solitude of the overnight shifts. One night, however, the eerie silence was broken by an odd occurrence. A guest had checked in earlier in the evening, an older man who seemed somewhat agitated, but insisted on a quiet room. When Mark went to check on him, the man was nowhere to be found, despite his things being left in the room. Mark searched the building, calling out the guest's name, but no answer. As he walked by the old hallway mirror, he noticed something strange. Reflected in the mirror was the guest, standing at the end of the hallway, staring at him. Mark froze in place. He turned to see the man was gone. His heart raced as he checked the rest of the motel, but there was no sign of him. Mark tried calling the police, but when they arrived, they found no trace of the man. Afterward, the motel staff informed him that a guest had gone missing in the same room years ago under mysterious circumstances, and his ghost was said to appear at random, especially in the late night hours. Mark never worked another night shift at that motel.